there, but you had this phrase, performance with purpose. You had the 3 C's of competence, courage, and communication. Maybe pick a few of those things that were very important to transforming the people aspects of what you wanted to see from your leaders in the organization.
You know, Sanjay, now that I can reflect back on my time at PepsiCo, and one of the things that we all strongly felt as leaders in the company is that we were running the company for the next generation. So we brought in a whole bunch of millennials and asked them how they saw the company. And what do they tell their family and friends when they say that they work at PepsiCo? What do they say? How do they respond? And it was interesting because they loved the company. They loved coming to work in a company with great ads, great sports engagement. I mean, they loved that part of the company, but they did not like the fact that we didn't have enough healthy products in our portfolio. I'll tell you an interesting story. I was in Egypt and, we were having dinner with all the key executives. And I had told them to bring their spouses. So they all brought their spouses. They were all men who brought their wives along. And after dinner, I stood up there and said, any questions? Absolute silence. So I said, look, I'm only taking questions from the spouses. The men are not allowed to speak.
Yeah.
Silence again. One person puts her hands up and she says, Mrs. Nooyi, I have something to tell you. We have all the Pepsi products at home, all the chips, all the sodas. We love it. But now my child is 3 years old and I have taken away all the beverages and I've seriously limited the snacks that I give my daughter. What do you think about this? What happens to PepsiCo if more people with kids do this? What happens to our growth? And what do you think you're going to do with the portfolio to make sure that it's more in tune with the changing habits of young families? And she also added, when I go home, my husband's not going to talk to me, but I figured I'll ask you this question. I thought that was a profound question.
Absolutely.
Because for me, as leaders, we had to tell ourselves, every child in the world should be your child. So we should not be saying, let our products be sold to everybody else, but not to our children. So we had to change the portfolio so that every one of our products could be sold at that per capita level to our own families as it was to other families. We wanted every backyard to be a landfill so that you really worried about what was going into the landfill. And that's why environmental issues became major. And we wanted every employee to bring their whole self to work. That was the birth of performance with purpose. Deliver performance, but do it with a sense of purpose. Transform the product portfolio. Make sure that you're environmentally sensible and sustainable, and make sure you create an environment that everybody can come into PepsiCo bringing their whole self. And that was the performance plus the 3 pillars of purpose.
That's a beautiful story, because if I think back to how many companies, including tech industries, we get so occupied with the performance aspect of it. We are in the throes of thinking through digital transformation and much of this tech stack.
You know, Sanjay, one thing is very important. Sometimes we define purpose as corporate social responsibility. That's not what I'm talking about. Because CSR basically is do whatever you want to generate lots of bucks at the office and then take some money and give it to some charitable program. That's not what I'm talking about. In PepsiCo, performance and purpose were linked. You could not deliver performance if you didn't transform the product portfolio. You wouldn't get a license to operate in many countries if you didn't reduce your water use or your carbon footprint. And you couldn't get the best and brightest if you couldn't create an environment for them. So performance and purpose were self-reinforcing. And to me, that was the beauty of performance with purpose, because you couldn't deliver performance without purpose, and you couldn't fund purpose without performance. So performance with purpose is a business strategy, not a CSR program.